till live. But what I am, the signal Enoch said would appear right before humans were no longer protected. You have read about the silence. You have felt the absence of angels, the withdrawal of dreams, the strange emptiness where miracles used till live. But what I am about to show you from the book of Enoch is not about the silence. It is about what happens the moment the silence breaks. I need you to understand something immediately. When the silence breaks, it will not break gently. It will not break with a still small voice. It will break like a siren in a city that forgot it could be bombed. Enoch saw something that the church fathers refused to include in any canon. They called it too disturbing for the faithful. They said it would cause panic. You would stop being afraid of everything else. Because the signal Enoch described is the single most terrifying thing ever written in any ancient text, more terrifying than the flood, more terrifying than the fire of Sodom, more terrifying than the trumpets of Revelation, because the flood came with warning, the fire came with an escape route, the trumpets come with seals in bowls in time to repent, but the signal Enoch saw comes with nothing, no warning, no escape, no time. Just a single moment when every human being on earth will realize, all at once, that the protection they took for granted has been lifted, and by the time they realize it will be too late to do anything about it. Enoch called it the turning of the veil, and the fragments that survived from the second level of Cave 24, the same cave I told you about, the one the archaeologists swore was empty. Enoch describes something that no other dared to describe. He says that from the beginning of human history, there has been a veil between the visible world and the invisible world, not a wall, a veil, thin, permeable, sometimes torn by faith, sometimes torn by sin, but always there. In that veil, Enoch says, has protected humanity more than any army, any wall, any weapon ever invented, because the veil hides us from what is on the other side. What is on the other side, Enoch warns, is not just angels and demons, it is something much older. Much hungrier, much less interested in the rules of engagement that angels and demons is to obey. Enoch saw that before the final event, before the end of the age, the veil would not be torn, it would be turned, like a page, like a key in a lock. When the veil turns, the protection that has covered humanity for thousands of years will simply stop, not gradually, not with warning signs, not with angels descending to explain what is happening, just a shift, a turning. Is about to happen. Enoch describes it as something so subtle that most people will miss it entirely, something so ordinary that only those who have been watching through the silence will recognize it. It is what Enoch actually wrote. I am reading from the translation of the Ethiopic manuscript that the British Museum kept locked in a private collection for 70 years before releasing it. Enoch writes, in the days when the silence has completed its work, the sky will not thunder, the earth will not shake, but the birds will stop singing, not all at once, one by one, and the children will stop laughing, not from fear, from forgetting, and the old men will stop dreaming, not because their minds are weak, because the door of dreams has been shut from the other side. When the last bird falls silent, the last child forgets how to laugh, the last old man wakes without a memory on that night, the veil will turn, the protection will cease. Do you see it? The signal is not a trumpet, not a star falling from heaven, not an angel riding a cloud. The signal is absence, the absence of birdsong, the absence of children's laughter, the absence of dreams. Three absences that happen so slowly, so quietly, that most people will not even notice they are gone until they are already living on the other side of the turning. Think about your own life. When was the last time you heard birds singing? Not chirping, not squawking, singing, the way they used to sing in the mornings when you were a child. When was the last time you heard a child laugh for no reason? Not a staged laugh for a camera, not a laugh from a cartoon. A real, spontaneous laugh that comes from a place of total safety and joy. When was the last time you woke up from a dream that felt like a message? Not a scrambled dream full of anxiety and innocence. A dream with weight, with meaning, with a sense that someone was trying to tell you something. If you are honest with yourself, you will admit that all three of these things have been fading, slowly. The birds still sing, but something is missing from their song. The children still laugh, but something is hollow in the sound. You still dream, but you wake up with nothing. That is the signal. It has already begun, and most of humanity is walking right past it, checking their phones, scrolling their feeds, watching their shoes, completely unaware that the veil is turning and the protection is ceasing. But it is where Enoch says something that will terrify you till your core. He says that the protection that is being lifted is not the protection you think. You assume that God protects you from disease, from accidents, from enemies. He does. But that is not the protection Enoch is talking about. The protection Enoch saw being lifted is much more fundamental. It is the protection from seeing. Enoch says that from the beginning, God has protected humanity from seeing the full reality of what exists around them. You think you see the world as it is. You do not. You see a version of the world that has been filtered, softened, edited, and censored by a divine mercy that loves you too much to show you the truth. Enoch writes, "The eyes of men are weak by desire, for if they were strong, they would see the air thick with watchers, the ground crawling with things that have no names, in the sky bleeding with colors that would shadow the mind." God made the veil not to hide himself, but to hide you from what you cannot unsee. When the veil turns, that protection ends, not because God is angry, because the time for hiding is over. The final test requires that you see what you have been protected from. Enoch says that when humans see the full reality for the first time, most of them will simply break, not from fear, not from terror, from recognition. They will recognize that they have been living inside a carefully constructed nursery, and that the nursery door has just been opened to a wilderness they were never meant to navigate. And the angel's answer is the most controversial sentence in all of the Enochian literature. The angel said, "Only those who learned to see without seeing." Only those who believed without evidence, only those who stood ye the silencing did not demand a sign, for these have already trained their souls for the unveiling. They will not break, they will not flee, they will look upon the things that have no names, and they will say, I knew you were there, I just could not see you yet, and that faith will become armor. Do you understand now? The silence you have been enduring, the absence of miracles, the withdrawal of dreams, the boredom of worship, the emptiness of prayer, that silence was not punishment, that silence was training. God was weaning you off the need for supernatural confirmation so that when the supernatural becomes terrifyingly, overwhelmingly present, you will not crumble, you will recognize it, you will stand, you will be one of the few who does not lose their mind when the veil turns. But it is the detail that Enoch was forbidden to explain in full, the detail that the angel silenced him for asking about, the detail that I found in a single line of a fragmented scroll that had been mislabeled as an important agricultural records for 40 years, the signal, the birds falling silent, the children forgetting laughter, the old men losing dreams. That signal is not just a warning, it is also an invitation. Enoch saw that in the final moment before the veil turns, there is a window, a small window, maybe a few hours, maybe a single night. In that window, anyone who recognizes the signal can do one thing that will change everything. They can speak directly to the veil, not to God, not to angels, not to demons, to the veil itself. Enoch records the exact words that should be spoken. I will give them to you now, but I will not explain them. You will understand when the time comes. The words are, you have hidden me well, but I no longer need hiding. Turn not in terror,